they never got round to kind of filling that hole and getting over that mental block that we saw from them where they just couldn't see out what seemed like on paper quite simple rounds. Like you mentioned, that 5v4 post plan, that should have only gone one way, and overextensions come through. Endpoint did a very good job of isolating the fights as well, so a lot of credit has to be given to them. And I think it's also safe to say that, and I kind of mentioned towards the end of Overpass, but Max completely outcalled Casa there, and now we go into a map in which he's very good at calling on again, and alongside the players, all of which are stepping up for Endpoint, all of which are looking on fire. No one's slacking by any means in the firepower department. This will get worrying, and it's not a good start for Leo.
No. First bullet shot on Vertigo in 2023 is one right in the head of Leo, and they're going to just do the classic. Get their smokes up toward A, go for the plant, and go for the after plant situation. They haven't got it done just yet. It was a fake to begin with from Heavy God, just waiting for the possibility of a double grenade, and RCF! Oh, he goes to try and at least get one kill, or even deny the bomb plant, and Surreal just flicks to his head in disgusting fashion. Leo was incredibly low. Heavy God's not aware that he only needs one bullet anywhere to finish off that kill, and in the end he does hit one. Mighty Max is lurking toward mid, and it's the cleanest pissed around you could ever wish for, and started off in pretty sick fashion as well.
Yeah, that Leo dink down to like 3 points of HP more or less summed up that entire Casa around there. It was pretty dire. And, you know, for Endpoint, that's exactly the sort of start we were looking for on their map pick. Set the tempo, dictate the pace, and it's perfection. That's the best way to put it. Endpoint did all the things you'd hope of this side, making sure the Cas had no control, making sure the Cas had no confidence or no comfortability on their CT side. That is textbook. And hey, now that they've got a full buy, they are more than happy just to park it up a little bit. They know that the most likely case is that they're going to get to the second stack, hence what they see here. Nerds will be tested, get a double before he traded. That's an AK in the wrong hands, but it's still a man advantage. They can happily just walk over towards A.
This is an easy clean up in the end. The fact they got one kill and decent damage is actually not too bad for what they chose to do. The full eco. And of course, that situation now, I mean, we obviously have only really seen one proper event, the Blast World Final. Big LAN event, of course, that has the new update in play. And obviously it makes that particular round a bit of an interesting choice these days on CT side, because of course going for the full eco and buying in the next with the silenced M4s was always incredibly powerful. But now the silenced M4 has been nerfed, you need to spend more money for those M4s in that second round. You can see Yeps has to go to a FAMAS in this one. And Endpoint are keeping the pace incredibly high in this following as well. Max in toward mid, they made a lot of steps, but they're going to fall back off of it straight away. Just leaving MHL there with a bit of Molotov usage too to make their presence known.
For now, Endpoint happy just to give a little bit of that space over towards Casa. Honda's in a very strong position, but one flash and, well, I mean, his day's ruined, to be perfectly honest. It's a double stack, and towards B, they're looking relatively confident here. They're more than happy, again, to play that aggro angle, and Endpoint more than happy just to slow things down a tad. Play contact, play control over towards ramp. They're kind of essentially playing with what is, it's a little bit of a bonus. They've still got money in the bank, right? So they're more than happy to kind of will the Mac 10 or the Galil in this case, but convert this and Casa are in ruins.
Yeah, indeed. Again, they're going to go back toward the comfort of the A-bomb site. Max is up there very aggressively with the Mac 10, but that's a good flag from Leo. At least getting one before the bomb can go down often gives you a lot more relaxation. But of course, the problem is, in this sort of buy, in this situation of a map, so early on, the lack of a kit is going to be a big issue, and RCF managed to buy up an AWP in this round too. A glass cannon AWP. That is not much use on a retake. How on earth are they going to recover this one? MHL towards Sandbags has the line. Surreal takes Honda. They should all be coming through for Endpoint, and they most certainly are. There was even a lurk toward mid that came through. Heavy Gold got that one kill. Still had to switch around, and that left his arse exposed to Mighty Max. And that let Endpoint reach their third round.
Yeah, really good stuff. Really clinical from Endpoint. The fact that they've converted a bonus as well, it's just sort of continuing to set this precedent about how Endpoint are quite considerably the better side. This is a mismatch in terms of ability between these two sides. From what we've seen on Overpass and now what we're seeing more in towards Vertigo, Endpoint are just so much more clinical. They don't really make the rookie errors that we see kind of creep into Casa's playstyle. And now, of course, off the back of the bonus, they're able to wield a couple more upgrades. I mean, this is such a clean buy where for Casa, it's just pistols. Should be chalked up to a very easy, very clean fourth on the board, and Endpoint shouldn't really be tested too much here. Mighty Max, the entry, won't find it. Yeps, traded, and that's the B side exposed.
I don't mind this play though, and a round against pistols, going for a B split gives you a lot of options, and the only thing that really is an issue is dropping down through the window that Nurse is staring at right now. And they actually didn't have the bomb with them at any point during that battle. So MHL has been the man in task to go back for that, and still has plugged the gap in between them. So with RCF hidden in the corner as well, MHL lurking in, has to get both these kills, but there's no way he expects a second, and he's just run straight past RCF. 3 AWP. 7 HP on Heavy God, and although he gets 1, it's only the 1. That is a great way to fight back from Casa.
Of all the ways as well for Casa to find success and for Casa to kickstart the potential momentum on their CT side, it wasn't that buy. I mean, they had the B site under wraps for Endpoint, and I think they just sort of overcomplicated a situation that didn't need to be that complicated. It could have been relatively simple. Play the pug, play for the firepower, but no, not to be.
If they had the bomb, that would have been fine, right?
Yeah, they slightly outcalled themselves in a way by going for a little bit of an outlandish play off the back of that split. And hey, it's come back to bite them now. Of course, Casa, they've got weapons to wield. No warp in play for the T side, where RCF is happy to salvage it from the previous.
Exactly. Got given a freebie in RCF there. And the fact that there was just that second player hidden in the cubby was always going to be that insurance policy, and not something that Endpoint would have expected. I'm not sure any team in the world would have expected that. And they certainly didn't expect a double flank so quickly. Endpoint, as I said, not having the bomb with them, once they got that split successfully, kind of put them in their own hole. They dug for themselves. And now, of course, as you say, minute to go in the next round. Utility's still in a really good stead. Nurse has got himself an entry toward Yeps, and there's plenty of these smokes to work their way up the ramp. Dances back, taking down God so far in the series, but Trace is spotted by MHL, and he fights straight back through that smoke. That's the battle we're going to see a lot more often this year, with the lack of as many silenced M4s. So 3v3, 35 seconds, and we're going back toward B.
We are now for Nerds as well. A lot on his shoulders. He's found one already. Hasn't been as kind of as electric as we know he can be. So far into round number 2. This is alright, not too bad.
I like the angle, and he manages to switch around for a second too. Really well played. RCF still toward the back of the site. He was mollied off, but he was just waiting for Mighty Max to come his way. That's a really good find. Now, as soon as I saw Honda pushed up close toward the plywood, I had a little feeling that it may work out well. Not something to be expected so late on in a round, and he gets his reward.
And now, Casa already started to, I mean, more competent than what we saw towards Overpass, that's for damn sure. And this is at least begging the question of this, you know, potentially being a little bit more of an even affair. I mean, that 16-4 and Overpass was brutal. There was never really any instances where we thought that Casa could have, you know, periods of success or at least a little bit of longevity. This is alright. Realistically, they should find themselves at a tied score here. They're all 3-3. I mean, it's basically just Glocks over towards Endpoint. So, all things considered, it should be very easy. Farm for a little bit of cash, get a couple of kills under the belt, and simple stuff. For Endpoint, the priority, if they can, is getting a bomb plant, but it's unlikely.
That incendiary smacks Mighty Max right in the abdomen. It's going to be painful, but those grenades do plenty of smacking as well. Lots of damage. And as you so rightly say, this just gives Casa a chance to build up that money, of which there isn't much on a couple of players, so winning rounds such as this with all 5 alive is paramount. Trying to waste the clock down, forcing Casa to maybe use some utility. They have to repurchase it in the next, and RCF is feeling a bit more confident. Will reface that pistol knowing that it should be a free kill. Even if he got dinked by that Glock, it wouldn't have killed him, because he does have a helmet. So he'll now hide as he doesn't lose any points of health. I'll try and find the last player of MHL. Stuck downstairs, still checks for it properly, and he gets his just reward. 1 kill for everyone, 2 for RCF. Honda didn't get any of those ecos. He'll be asking, 1 each, guys. Come on, keep it fair.
Exactly. keep the stats even across the board. But I mean, speaking of even, that's what we're on terms of scoreline, all 3-all, and now for Casa, at the very least, this is already a lot more convincing and better, and kind of what we'd hope from Casa at this sort of stage of play. They're finally starting to wake up behind the wheel and maybe even have a little bit of success coming forward. For Endpoint, their full buy coming out. Finally, we get to see them contest for the first time in a good couple of rounds. This is where we need to see Endpoint just claw back a bit of that control. Look at the early entries, and that's where you're relying on players like your Nerds and like your Heavyweights.
Yeah, and Casa haven't done an awful job in warming up into this series. I mean, as I said, halfway through the first half, they had a pretty decent little run of 3 or 4 rounds where they were getting close every single time, but only managed to convert a couple. And in this game, this immediate rebuttal of 3 in a row is a good sign. RCF hitting shots as well. CT side Vertigo always can work out if you get yourselves some clean, concise crossfires. Minute to go, and Endpoint really haven't shown much at all yet. They're just creeping up the ramp silently to begin with before going back toward B. As you can see, the shifting through the top there with the X-ray. Max is the only one that's going to be here. He will molly out Sandbag, force RCF to swing, and he gets both of them. Oh my goodness, can you believe it? Leo has to come charging in to recover that situation, but it might already be out of hand.
Oh, there she's getting messy. At least at the very least, got a best place to work over towards B. Molotov will deny a little bit of that presence. They're ticking. Surreal just about staying alive, but Nurse, what an entry on towards the side. Finds Yeps looking for more. Time is ticking, and this is getting down to the wire. Wow. But the entries continue to flow, and the headshots flourishing. Bomb will go down. It's all down to one man. It's Leo Junkie.
And there's not much chances there, unfortunately. What a wild set of circumstances in that round. I mean, that setup that that Kessa had on ramp with the op towards sandbags and still right next to where Mighty Max was advancing is meant to be the absolute, how can I call it, the anti-play to exactly what they were trying to do. And Mighty Max just kills both of them somehow. We saw it almost from the third person, and it was just ridiculous how he got both. As I said, Leo charged in to get that one kill, and then once they knew he was the only one there, they probably expected it to be B, and they did manage to hold them off for a little bit, right, with those Molotovs and such. But in the end, Nertz just hit a dirty entry, and then MHL advances past the con units as well. Generators, I should say. Thinking of Nuke. It's the first map of the year, guys.
There we go.
Gotta get it right.
Warm up.
Gotta get the call-outs right. Can't be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still yet to cast Anubis, so that's going to be interesting. I know the call-outs seem to change every 2 seconds, but Anubis is in the pool now. Of course, for these two sides, I think Cass has played it once, and in an official, that is, and Endpoint are yet to even play it, so it wasn't likely that we were going to see it, and of course we're not. But I am wondering if we're going to see it at all for us when we're casting a conference over the next week, right? Because it is in the pool, and I always think that in the tier 2, your best option is really getting whatever the new map is under your belt and making it a strong point. I always remember Copenhagen Flames. They were like the best in the world at Ancient when it was losing the pool.
Exactly, yeah, and I think I remember even Sinners being insane on Vertigo as well when that came in. So many opportunities when new maps are added. Who's going to be the one team that makes Anubis their home this year? That is yet to be decided, and we will find out in due course. This round is yet to be decided as well. Casa managed to get themselves a man advantage. RCF was low HP from the very beginning of the round, but frags coming through from Steel and Honda were solid. Nertz answers back with one, and he's got full utility still for this situation, and he's hearing some footsteps right now. He's walking his way through. RCF is a low HP player, and he gets that poop bar, but he's not even expecting a second. Oh my goodness. He almost 180s Yeps there. That would have been absolutely wild. But it's Nertz 1v2 with a Molotov, with a couple of flashes. He can most certainly make this one a possibility, but he doesn't expect Yeps to be through the edge of the generators. And Casa do a great job of recovering that situation. 4 each.
Hey, this is a much more even affair, and this is kind of what you hope when you're looking towards kind of ESL Pro League conference, right? Because this is kind of the best of the best in terms of domestic region, right? All coming to clash for very few spots in towards Pro League and a very few opportunities to advance into it, right? We saw Endpoint do it last season in ESL Pro League conference season 16, and they're looking to kind of go back to back, but hey, they're being pushed to the limit at the very least. Staying in the upper bracket is huge as well, especially because there's opportunities for sides just to really get early runs of form, or, you know, out the way, or maybe even capitalize off the back of teams being slow off the back of a break, right? This is the first day back from the player break. Some of these teams may not have played, you know, much CS at all in the last kind of couple of weeks, or maybe not even at all, right? Their hours might be on the low side. So I think, you know,
MHL, going for the classic Vertigo peak.
Now they're being tested.
Back to finish his point later. Leo. Let's get a spam through. He's blind while going for that spray as well. I have lost connection to TeamSpeak right now, so I will be back in a moment. One moment. Hello. Are we fixed?
We're back. Okay.
Okay.
I think we are. There seemed to be some issue there, but I feel like we're okay now.
I'll disconnect.
Thankfully.
There we go. Yes, we may have got disconnected from TeamSpeak, so
I think that
why
was the
we're
case.
currently
Yeah,
confused.
A slight gap there.
Yeah.
Well, apparently so is Steel. Steel will find one. Now we can back into the action. There was a little bit of a brief break there. I wasn't sure if it was just me. RCF will step up for a double. Surreal and Nerds falling, and the bomb too leaves it all on the shoulders of Heavy God. There's a lot of weight on those shoulders. 1 versus 2, and less than 30 seconds to work with.
It's possible. Unfortunately, he's got no utility, and as you say, time really is the problem. He's going to have to run this one. He's going to be going straight into the AWP as well. RCF sees the first, sprays him down. He expects him to be there too. He does, but the flick is just inaccurate. And Honda gets a really, really important recovery to grab that crag. I will say a quick thank you to production, by the way, for very, very quickly enabling our voices on vMix instead of TeamSpeak, because TeamSpeak, I think, just crashed for all of us. So, fast thinking. That's why we couldn't hear each other for a second. Had to go for some quick fallback options. But there we are. We got it fixed in the end. Apologies for that. That was out of our control. But what's not out of Cass's control is this round, because they're up against pistols.
Yeah, for now, at the very least, for Casa, they've got themselves a bit of a lead to work with. Just that one round, but it's a bit of a comfort that they're more than happy to sit with. Where we stand, it's already looking very good. Heavy God with a double. That is sumptuous before he's traded.
That was disgusting. I did not expect a double kill in that sort of position. That's playing the boost as well, and that's a lot of damage done to Yeps too. And look how fast Surreal is forward. He's dealt with Yeps in that scenario, and then he picks up the M4 to find Leo too. Oh dear, Casa, you had your chance. You had your opportunity to push forward to a significant lead in this first half, and Endpoint once again, thanks to Heavy God and Surreal, have said no.
I mean, this is done right. RCF, it just has to be a save call. All off the back of Heavy God. Lovely double from him. Even in some cases, with this low buy, you can even say, you know, a double entry, and that's it, right? I mean, they'll get cleaned up. The rifles will do their work. But no, they were able to capitalize on the back of space. Maybe. And all might not be able to be saved. MHL will take a tag. But it's going to be a safe call off the back. But RCF, fortunately for him, will be able to keep that AWP ticking over. Because money isn't exactly flourishing for the CT side by any means. I mean, the buy around that AWP in towards the next is going to be pretty grim.
Yeah,
but, with how things are.
And not the good grim. Not the Team Liquid grim either. The ex-Team Liquid grim.
This is it's pretty grim. Yeah, it's not nice. It's not nice. But, you know, for Endpoint, it was kind of a much-needed claw back. And, I mean, hey, where we are now, no complaints by any means. I think, you know, if Endpoint are able to clean this one up here, get a 6th, they can really go on a good period of success, right? Because money is going to be brutal over towards Casa.
Exactly. RCF Has an AWP, of course. It's a full force buy across the board. Don't mind this. I mean, if you can get an AWP and okay utility, even if you've just got a couple of deagles to surround you, when your money is all over the place, evening it out with a full force buy isn't a bad option. Especially when you can get the big sniper rifle. Endpoint taking this one carefully. No, it's just clearing out the B stairs, clearing out the grate. All the railings being scouted. Yep, is moving into position with that deagle. If he creeps forward any further, Nertz will have a free kill. Heavy God lurking in mid. Honda and Steel teaming up together to go for a peek to look for the information, but crosshair placement way too good. He gets himself both. Easy peasy.
Yeah, it's a lot he needs to find. I mean, he hears a lot of that information, but trying to go back to back off the back of Heavy God's double the Eagle, he needs arguably a little bit more here. Bomb being recollected. It looked like they're going to make the committal play. In comes the utility. Yeps needs at least 2 here if he wants us to even be possible. Exit or drop, instant trade.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Nertz's position was for, right? They made the noise running away to see if anyone pounced at the right time. And sure, you sacrifice one player, but you get the information and you get the insta-trade, no problem. And RCF has quite literally an impeccable crossfire being held by Heavy God and Nertz right next to each other. I'm pretty sure, considering Nertz lost health there, that Heavy God probably killed RCF through his teammate there. But you never know. It doesn't matter how you get them as long as you get them. And that's exactly what they did. So the lead on T side, that might be an early nail in the Casa coffin.
Yeah, that might be a pretty grim one if I had to take a guess as well once again for Casa, just because they are going to now go in with a brutal economic situation that was sort of expected and kind of forewarned a little bit, where it's just a full eco, right? They can't afford to bring anything to the table. It does have to just be pistols brought out, and for Endpoint, there should be no way in which, you know, Casa even get kind of 2 kills there. It should just be very clean, comfortable. Bomb goes down. Maybe even Heavy God on that Mac 10 farming up a quite considerable amount of cash as well. Just have a little bit of longevity towards the side. And speaking of, Heavy God will do exactly that with a double. So, more than happy to walk away with 2 kills. Yeps will trade. Bomb should go down momentarily, and it should be Endpoint up to 7.
Yeah, Steel was trying to be uber cheeky there, walking behind the A play, but they always had the insurance of Heavy God in the corner with the Mac 10. I've played enough Vertigo. Part of the Vertigang, you know, Vertiglobals.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You know that that's a lovely spot to hide in to take some flanking players. And they'll type in chat very angry at you, saying, "Why are you sitting there in matchmaking?" Haha, because it's a free kill, brother man.
Every time, every time. I think they should be relatively safe on exits here. They don't even really need to kind of extend too much as well. The bomb readies isn't even really too overzealous in comparison to likes of, you know, the Inferno. I think it's really Inferno, but I guess it's not even really new, is it? But, you know, it's not exactly too bad by any means.
New bomb radius at least. Yeah, so you weren't entirely wrong. It is a relatively new bomb radius, and it's very, very punishing as well. Honestly, I've been a proponent of them increasing that on Vertigo for a while as well. I mean, the fact that you can save basically on the edge of the A site when the bomb explodes is pretty crazy, right? So, the problem is it's kind of as we all know, it's a bit more of a vertical map, so it's quite hard to judge that, I guess. So, you know, that being too overpowered.
Oh, that's it. That is exactly it. 2-round lead for Endpoint. They're happy to chill here, so I say. Heavy God. What a swing, but no ding from him. Honda, lovely entry. There's the opening kill. There's the kind of map control being garnered by Casa that we hoped for.
That was beautiful. Honda's been the main man so far. He might not be top fragging in this second map, but first map he was the one shining light for Casa. You'd expect that considering it's of course, it's a player that did play some big events with Furia. Being beaten up on the stairs. I think he knows there's a player toward quad now as that smoke blooms. They're going to fall off of it straight away and make sure they're still scouting toward the bottom of a ramp, making sure there's no aggression. And he'll fall off of it. Bomb in the spot. Everyone tends to leave it in. Grab it and make your decision with 50 seconds to go. so close.
It's just nerds things, isn't it? I mean, he's just so good at leveling the playing field on individual stars. Bye by Bogdan's Law, pick up the AWP. Time's ticking though, Trav. They've only got 30 seconds to work with.
Fine though. Only one player behind the side, and now Yep's position is most certainly very low. He's done plenty of damage, but of course the next play probably fights are the high health players. Unfortunately, for Caster, they couldn't finish off Surreal or Nerds. It's MHL with a bit of a help of Mighty Max going in first as well, taking a few bullets, as he so often does. Both kills come through, and RCF and Leo have no other choice than to save the 2 rifles. No utility to go with it either, so yeah, it kind of makes the save even more painful, knowing that Endpoint are going to have a guaranteed lead into the second half with 8.
It's a great start already, I think, from Endpoint. I mean, they're more than happy to be sitting where they currently are. I mean, it's not as dominant as what we saw over towards Overpass, but, I mean, all things considered, from when there was a point in which it was even and Castle were actually looking relatively decent, now where we are at the moment, they'd be more than happy to be walking in, you know, with the possibility. I think, realistically, we should see them get at least 9, right? Yeah. They are more than happy with where things stand right now. Endpoint, they've kind of turned around a situation which at one point was actually looking maybe a little bit, you know, on edge, a little bit nervy, because Castle were looking, you know, a lot more up to par. RCF was starting to pop off a little bit. Honda was having his individual moments occasionally where he kind of turned the tide around. That's not happening anymore. Endpoint, they've started to find that comfortability. It's Nerds doing what Nerds does best in terms of cracking open sight and finding those advantages. And then you have the likes of Heavy God, who has just been once again surreal. He's phenomenal, hasn't he? Stepping up in an immaculate fashion.
Yeah, he's having a very good series at the moment. Surreal, again, will take one. Steal to the edge of that smoke. The boost up from Leo toward the mid boxes. Unfortunately, not going to get anything as of yet. He did fall down from it. I'm not sure if he made a sound cue falling down from it, or whether there was, or the sound cue was heard, I should say, because there were bullets being fired in the meantime. So they're going to reboost it. The Heavy God is once again in that default position. Unfortunately for RCF, that's actually really unlucky, because that smoke bloomed a split second after the shadow was spotted, and that means that his play next to that smoke was never going to work. He was seen before he could even get into a position, and Heavy God in that default position toward mid as well, gets himself 2 kills once again, the second being one of the low HP players too. It's simple, and Yeps is 1v5 with the P250. That's not going to work out too well, my friend.
No. It's tough. It's horrible for Yeps. I mean, hey, the Knights thing, he's got a smoke to work with, at the very least. It's not going to make this any easier around, though. Bomb will go down. And for Yeps as well, I mean, even saving here, which, I mean, there's no real points. It's unlikely. He'll get 1, though, before he is traded. So he can kind of walk away, or at least head up a little bit higher, making it slightly expensive. Yeah. But, hey, if we're looking at the bigger picture, does it make a difference? Oh, they've got 10k to work with across the board, pretty much. So no problems at all. 9 rounds confirmed for Endpoint, and a fairly decent chance of going into the half with double digits. And if that's the case as well, if they go in at 10-5, they've got an 81% chance of winning per HLTV, which is pretty good. And even if it's only 9 as well, it's still 77, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, they decided to turn up the pace on the final round of the half as well, and oh my goodness. Heavy God, the W hold just works out way too well. He's about to step on the head of Yeps, and then Yeps does a great job in getting 2, actually. He recovers it into a 2v2. Right-click smoke from Mighty Max to block off CT, and they can both play ramp on the stairs if they really want to. It's the UK duo to get the double digits. Seal's not going to check the angle. Free kill for Surreal. And now Leo is 1 versus 2. He has just picked up a kit at that very moment. So he's got a smoke and he's got full utility. If there was ever a chance to make this a possibility, it would be now. He still has those 2 players to face. Surreal's been dropped over a Molotov by Max as well. Makes it so difficult to deal with. And Max does get the final frag. It's 10-5. Double digits on the half. We're going to go to a quick break. See you in a moment.
Embrace your destiny, slay your enemy, raise a legacy. No more apologies, trust your abilities, gather the energies. Pull yourself back together. Been staying off track forever. Child of the nation, will seek redemption. Time for salvation. Today is meant to be day of victory. Time for history. Reverse the tendency, fight the entropy. Channel your rivalry. You're praying for fortune to come. You're hearing the sound of the drums. It's too late to backtrack, go back, you're back now. Keep your feet on the ground and stand up. You've got what it takes to fight back. Don't stop until you black out, out, out. Stand up, up. You've got what it takes to fight back, back. Don't stop until you black out, out. Give all you got, show them how to make a miracle. Stand up, up. You've got what it takes to fight back, back. Don't stop until you black out, out. Give all you got, show them how to make a miracle. Go save your team, be a hero. Take home the cup, be a star. They're waiting for you, take aim, shoot your arrow. It's your time to shine, show them who you are. Stronger, gotta go faster, gotta get better, gotta work harder. It's fight or flight now, get up now. Go with the move, go for the goal, lead up the stadium, you know how it's done. Stand up, up, you've got what it takes to fight back, back. Don't stop until you back out, out. Give all you got, show them how to make a miracle. Stand up, up, you've got what it takes to fight back, back. Don't stop until you back out, out. Give all you got, show them how to make a miracle. Stand up, you've got what it takes to fight back. Don't stop until you black out, out, out. Stand up, you've got what it takes to fight back, back. Don't stop until you black out, out. Give all you got, show them.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. 10-5 at the half for Endpoint. I think it's safe to say things are looking on the up. Already got a map under their belt and a pretty substantial half from them on their T side. For Casa, they need a little bit of a miracle in my eyes, Trav. I already feel like this one might be starting to slowly, or actually in some cases quite quickly, slip away from ever being a possibility of taking the series or even the map for Casa.
Indeed. Make the point, of course, that there is a lower bracket, and we'll get into exactly how that's being set up later on, post-map, post-series. So they're going to have a second chance at least. You never know. And it's a good start to this T-side pistol round. Max will get Goosh down to 5 HP, and now they're going to go for a bit of a B split. And oh, I thought those were both MHL's kills. I was about to freak out. But in the end, 3 of them are Mighty Maxes. That was absolutely disgusting. They got so much progress, Mayo, and couldn't get anything done with it.
Yeah, it's dire, isn't it? It really is. 10-5, and you know, I was going to mention before that absolute calamity out of Casa that, you know, when you look at a scoreline like 10-5 of the history of CSGO, anything that's ever been measured on HLTV, 78% of the time, right? If you have a 10-5 half, the CT side, of course, in this case, Endpoint, would see it off, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you know, it's not great, really, is it? You know, now the fact that we're already at 11-5, Endpoint is starting to build up some momentum, some economy to work with over towards their CT. Things aren't looking good. And for Casa, right, the lack of a bomb plant has meant that they're in such a kind of unstable position. MHL's going to be tested, though, and he needs to pass the flying colours, but he only gets 1. That's not good enough.
Somehow these kills are coming through. A quick flank should make it pretty simple. And the MP7 of Nerds gets 1. Surreal's MP9 gets the other. Nice to see an MP7 in play. Don't see it too often. Very satisfying.
You know what? I
sound.
was actually going to mention this.
Go on.
I saw Endpoint and Nerds use it before Christmas or last year,
Okay.
and they were playing on Inferno. I can't remember what game it was, where it was. It might have been Challenger League or something of the likes. Anyway, Nerds use it, gets a quad in towards mid with it, and I was like, okay, MP7's looking pretty good. Started trying to use it in MM. No, I can't use it. Don't know how he makes it look so easy. It's like effortless.
I
So
know.
I think that's just Nerds and everything CSGO at times.
It can be, right? I mean, there are certain guns which can be made to look incredibly easy when they're certainly not. And let's see if Nerds can make it look easy once again. Playing around with the smoke toward the bottom of B stairs. There's a re-smoke as well. We'll keep Yeps and Steel at bay. RCS found an entry though. Heavy God's gone down to the edge of a smoke. That grenade's going to do some decent damage. That puts Steel down to 63. That means the MP7 now, I think, is a one-shot headshot with that HE damage. So every little helps. Is that Asda or Tesco? I forget.
Every little helps. Asda. I think it's Asda, yeah. Every little helps.
How have I forgotten that? I'm British after all. I shouldn't be forgetting that one. Nerds has got some information of some legs coming through, and Steel does go down in the end, but not even a headshot required. Surreal takes a second, and with RCF low after his heroics, at least getting one kill, it's all looking all blue for Endpoint.
Speaking of blue, it is Tesco. So we were right the first time.
Thank you for making me not go insane with not knowing.
British knowledge coming through there. Oh, a bit of a tag actually. RCF, he may have heard the sound cue.
There's a chance.
Not going to pull the trigger off the back of it there and hold on the spray. Bomb will be recollected, but it doesn't make a difference. Leo's going to fall. Honda's been spotting towards mid as well. And a good call not to overextend. Dropping a molly in towards construction. Basically forces Honda to either fall back, wait, or then try and take the fight in towards that CT position. So all of the options are pretty grim. And with 10 seconds on the clock, it's a perfect play once again from Endpoint. A 13th on the board for them. And Jav, I've got to say, that question of too little too late that we spoke about over towards overpass is now ringing out extremely true once again towards Vertigo. This one, to me, is looking done.
It is, isn't it? Unfortunately. But as I said, there is a lower bracket available, so you never know. And I'm just going to quickly look at that now. Because if they do fall into that lower bracket, which is looking obviously very likely indeed, they will play the loser of Saw and Babos. So if they were going to have a good draw, I think that actually is possibly the best draw possible for them in that lower bracket. So
Agreed.
that there's a chance they can keep pushing forward. How far is another matter, but we shall see. I'll get into how the bracket is looking at the end of this series. I'll update you on everything as it stands. Look how far RCF has got through toward mid here. It's not being looked at until like now. He's up further than they're expecting. And that flashbang actually is helping a lot. In the end, though, he uses his entire clip, which gives Mighty Max a chance to get that trade. But RCF got one in the meantime. So 4v3 to work with.
At the very least, is space, right, for Casa. And that's the most important thing. Bit of map control, man advantage, all the slight little positive increments are starting to add up to give them a possibility to find 6 at Endpoint. They're in a little bit of a precarious spot. I mean, Nerds will drop Molly's double stacked with Max. And this position towards back pillar, if not cleared properly, if time's dwindling and they have to kind of make a split-second decision, he might get overlooked.
Yeah, that's a possibility. They are grouping up toward B, and there's the information. Yeps takes a pot shot with the Deagle on the boost. They know there's at least one here, but will they expect 2? And here comes Nerds. Here comes Nerds. Gets all 3. And he's even going to be looking for the 4th as well. Back toward the ramp. He does get it, of course. Of course. Of course. You can't stop Nerds when he's in a position like that, being baited in perfectly. That is about as best as it could have possibly gone.
It's just the Nerds effect, isn't it? It's just what he can do in a server. I mean, individually can be, you know, the final nail in the coffin time and time again. And when you look to anybody, maybe even anybody in conference alone, if it was someone who you'd, you know, trust to continuously step up, someone who you'd look towards in terms of just being raw firepower, Nerds always has to be in that conversation. I mean, I've already made this kind of a bit of an outlandish statement before, but I think Nerds is the best entry in Tier 2. I don't think there's anybody better than him. And I think he's one of the best in kind of EU CS. I mean, individually, I think he can play at a Tier 1 level. So, you know, he continues to show it. He continues to prove how good he is for Endpoint. And even when the team struggles as well, Nerds always makes some impact. So that's just a small showing of what he can bring.
Exactly. Lots of damage done to Heavy God once again. And once again, Casa have a lot of mid control that Endpoint are very happy to give up. Window being looked at. They're going to go for that split coming through, and it's an absolute wipeout. That was tasty from Yeps. Love to see that. And they should have a free A bomb site here. Honda's just holding everything just to be safe, and that's exactly how it will go. So Casa are fighting back. Good 6th round going to be on the board. Forces Nerds and Surreal to save. And yeah, actually, you make a pretty good point. I can't think of many really entries that prove themselves in Pro League who are now in Tier 2. Nerds is like the only one, right?
I'd say, you know, in my opinion, if I had to pick just an entry fragger or even maybe just an impact rifler in Tier 2, Nerds is up there for me. I think in terms of definitely the specific entry role, I think Nerds is the best in Tier 2. I think he's absolutely elite as an out-and-out entry. Speaking of, he just does get deleted by RCF. But yeah, I can't think of many others. I look toward kind of the best teams coming out of Tier 2 at the moment. You know, I put Saw up there. I think, you know, their win in the most recent ECL was really convincing. A great win over Spirit in the final there. That was fantastic. But I don't think they compete in that. You probably put Jerks as the person to come to the table, but he's not as good as Nerds in my opinion. Look, if it was Copenhagen Flames, same again. I don't think they really have the rifling.
If you count Sprout as Tier 2 and not Tier like 1.5, then I would say you'd obviously have to like consider Laurenex and Stare. But
agreed.
Obviously, Sprouts are in this bracket in conference and are the strong favourites to get to Pro League.
I agree as well. I think it would be like ESL Pro League conference season 16 to last season. I was on the desk for that one in Stockholm, and that was held in Jönköping, right? And I kind of came out to the desk saying, yeah, Sprout, they're the favourites. They'll get through this, no bother. And they actually bombed out dead last. So, you know, there was a massive upset there. But I guess the positive thing is that they're playing online, and Sprout are a side who are pretty favourable when they play online rather than LAN because of the youngsters. So I think they've got a very good chance. Spot on. What a swing from Surreal. Lovely double for the Brits. And, well, just like that, I think 15's knocking.
Yeah, you could tell he was gagging for that one, couldn't you? I mean, you could hear the fight coming through, and he knew that any swing, they weren't going to be expecting it, and he had 2 free kills, and of course he pulls the trigger on it. Perfectly done. And I'm going to remind you guys, of course, that this isn't a full buy for Endpoint on this round. They've got the Nerds M4, they've got a Surreal M4. 1 silenced, 1 unsilenced. The rest is just pistols. So much money will be available into the following round as well. Heavy God saved up 48.50 for goodness sake. So they're taking it slow. No reason to rush into a buy when you've got this much of a lead. Nice shot from Heavy God. Might not even need an M4. Looking for a second. Can't complete it. Eventually Honda hits the shot. Honda had to stand tall for that one, but it might not be enough. He's got 4 more to find in front of him. And Nerds hits the shot with the M4. It's free for Endpoint. 15-6 and plenty of series points.
Whoa. I think for Endpoint, I think myself and most other people would probably say that this one is done. It's dead in the water. And for Casa, you can call all attacks you want. I don't think it's going to make a difference. Unfortunately, it's just not been their day. I think, you know, 4 rounds is all they can muster on their map pick of Overpass, which is statistically one of, if not their best map, and they're kind of the most comfortable map. And then we look towards Vertigo, which isn't the usual first choice of Endpoint. They usually, if they get the opportunity, would go towards an Ancient. But even on their backup, they're looking dominant. So, hey, very, very good stuff, it has to be said, from Endpoint. And this is now as well, you know, opening the conversation, the door to a conversation of them entering the upper echelon of who is the better teams within Pro League Conference, right? Because obviously you mentioned Sprout. I think Forza have to come into the conversation as well because they're extremely scary side. Saw with being the champions of ECL, but this form that we're seeing from Endpoint, that's scary.
Yeah, it is scary. You have to take into consideration that it is, I mean, with all due respect, only Casa, who unfortunately right now are not on good form. So I think that has to be a situation you talk about, and especially making it even hard for the Brazilians if Nerds continues to hit shots like that. I mean, what are you supposed to do about that? You should only be getting 1 in that scenario, and he gets 2. It's ridiculous.
Just Nerds things, right? Just Nerds things. We were literally saying about him being potentially one of the best entries in Tier 2. And what does he do? He finds a double entry. Now, 5 versus 3. Yeah, exactly. 5 versus 3. numbers dwindling for Casa, and so's the time. They got a minute 10 on the clock, and I mean, to be perfectly honest, they've got no clue where to go from here. I mean, what is the calls to be made? What does Steel do to try and rally the troops?
Yeah, it's basically impossible. Just group up and try your best to trade your way in and maybe get a chance at a 1v2 or a 1v1. You know you're going to be most advantage. Doing their best with the economy and the utility. Heavy God towards sandbags. Could be about to pounce though and end off this BO3. The first one of 2023 for us and these two teams. Heavy God gets one, gets two. Absolutely picture perfect. And it's all down to Yeps to save it. Up being held. MHL finishes it off. Easy peasy for Endpoint. 16-4, 16-6. That is absolutely what they wanted to kick off the year.
Yeah, I mean, just talk about dominance across the series, not even individual maps. To limit your opponents to 10 rounds across 2 maps, I mean, that is a stellar showing for Endpoint. And this is why now Endpoint has to enter the conversation of being a side that, hey, they can, you know, get one of those spots and advance towards Pro League like they did last